So, there was this kid, kicked out of his squad for no damn reason. But guess what? Fate wasn't done with him yet. He comes back, stronger than ever, the most badass court mage in the whole kingdom. This is Alec's story, the fearless adventurer. Stick around to find out how his legend really began. And, hey, before we start, drop a comment. Tell us where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more epic stuff. Our story begins in that quiet town, where we see our hero, Alec, sitting and fishing. Then, the magic teacher, named Eldas, comes to him and asks him if he is interested in magic or not. Alec is surprised and tells him that he wishes to learn magic. We then see Eldas training Alec and giving him instructions. In order to hit the target, he must focus and imagine that a female companion of his is in danger, and he must save her. We then see Alec trying to follow the instructions, and he launches a fireball from his magic circle at the target, hitting it. He is very happy because he succeeded, and the teacher Eldas congratulates him, saying he is progressing quickly in his training, as today's spell was very difficult and took them almost a month to learn. They then end the day's training, and Eldas tells him to rest and fish until night falls. We then see them fishing, but Alec looks disgruntled because he doesn't want to do that, but rather wants to learn more magic. Eldas tells him that he has an innate talent and will become a top-level mage without Eldas teaching him anything, and advises him to let magic carry him forward like a river current. Alec is surprised and asks him why he is teaching him magic. Then before Eldas can answer, the fishing rod catches a fish and he pulls it out of the water. The next morning, we see Eldas training him again in magic and teaching him a new spell. Days pass, and Alec learns more spells and becomes proficient in using magic. One day, the teacher Eldas tells him that he will be leaving the town. Alec becomes very sad, and Eldas advises him that even if the opportunity arises, he should not become a court mage. Alec is surprised and asks him why he taught him magic, and Eldas tells him that it is because he is indebted to Alec's late mother, and then he leaves. Then, after several years at the Royal Academy of Magic, we see Alec looking at a book and realizing that his teacher Eldas graduated first in his class and became a court mage, but was later exiled, which is why he was always sad. Alec then decides that he will change the court and will do everything in his power, and this will be his way of repaying Eldas's favor, and he will become a great court mage. We then see Alec with the leader of the Mages Corps, Regulus, who is kicking Alec out of the group because, in his opinion, Alec failed in his duty during the last battle. All the group members put in their effort in the battle except him, who did nothing but provide minor support. He says to him angrily, "You are not a court mage, Alec. You disgust me." Then Lini says that the leader is right. Alec always says during battles, "No need to go any further. Let's retreat." And he is always afraid of going deep into the dungeons. They only allowed him to join their squad in the first place in compliance with the king's orders, but the prince captain can no longer tolerate it and is tired of clearing the dungeon with a useless person like him. Alec tries to explain to them and begs them not to kick him out of the squad, but they won't listen to him, and they all decide that he will be expelled from the squad. The prince captain pulls Alec's dagger and tells him that he will not be allowed to carry a weapon from now on, and takes his robe, telling him that he does not deserve the robe of a court mage. Then, they leave him and depart. We then see Alec in his room, very sad because he was expelled from his squad. He studies magic more and more, and decides to go again and try to beg the prince to let him back into the squad. When he goes to the prince's room, the guards intercept him and tell him to return the way he came. He has been stripped of the rank of court mage and has become a commoner, and they will not allow him to enter the castle. Then, Lini comes out to him and tells him that he is completely expelled, and there is no need for him to come here often. "You've been expelled already. Your record in clearing the capital's dungeon when you were at the academy was very poor. The deepest anyone has ever reached before was floor 37, and you reached floor 68, right?" "Oh, what nonsense, Alec." Alec calls out to her, "Lini, wait! Give me this chance, please. Give this letter to the king, please." But she leaves him and departs. Then she looks at him again, and he says to her, "Please give it to him, and I will be truly grateful." She actually takes it from him, but tears it into small pieces. Alec is shocked by the situation, as if a lightning bolt has struck him. Then she scolds him further and says, "How pathetic this is, you hateful wretch. Come on, you two guards, get him out of here." Then she leaves him and departs. The scene then shifts to him, lost in the streets of the city. He speaks to us saying, "In the 4 years, I felt humiliation and sorrow, but I also did my best as a court mage. But in the end, I could not change the court." At that moment, he meets his old friend, Yorha. He is shocked when he sees her, but she runs quickly to him and hugs him warmly. Then he tells her what happened and apologizes for not meeting for 4 years, which was a source of sadness. She told him, "That's life. You have good days and bad days. Days will pass and hurry by, and you will become the best, even better than them." but I am so happy that I met you again, Alec. Do you remember, Alec, what I said 4 years ago, that we would include you in our squad someday? He replied, yes, I remember that well, but unfortunately, I wasn't lucky. She stands up from her seat and holds out her hand to him saying, we have the chance now. What do you say to entering the dungeon together again, you and I? I want you to accompany me. I need your help, he said to her. My dear, I am just a useless court mage. She told him that he is not useless, but rather he is the foundation of everything. Days will pass, and you will prove that you are truly great. I need you. I don't need anyone else. His eyes sparkle, as if he is so happy that he cries from the intensity of his joy. Then he stands up from his seat and holds out his hand to her, which is a sign of his agreement, marking the beginning of a new legend. They will complete what they started in those endless days. Welcome back to the squad. The scene shifts to something else, and he remembers his teacher's words, that if he gets the opportunity to become a court mage, he should not do it. The scene then shifts to Alec and his friend Yorha, riding in a carriage. His friend talks to him, but finds him distracted. He tells her, I was thinking that my teacher was right. Don't worry about it. I was just dreaming of the good old days. The scene then shifts to His Highness the Prince, and they are talking about Alec. They believe he has run away and has become an adventurer. The prince scoffs and says, it was said that he was the best student the academy ever knew. So I was curious to see how great he was, but he was just a coward. Linny says, from now on, we won't work with a useless commoner. We'll work with the truly noble prince, His Highness. Soon, we will penetrate the dungeon like never before. And the whole world will know your name, Your Highness. His Highness the Prince rejoices greatly and laughs hysterically. The scene then shifts to Alec and his friend, walking in this place called the Dungeon. This place is full of adventurers from everywhere, which is why they called it that. Then, they move on to register Alec at the Adventurers Guild. The employee says that it is not possible because those are the rules, and he must provide a license for surpassing the 30th floor of the dungeon, which is only available to those who have spent 2 years with one of the guilds. They try to convince the employee to let him join the guild, but to no avail, as she insists on strictly implementing the orders. Then, they move on to eat some food outside, and Yorha says that they have reached the 52nd floor of the dungeon they are working on, and they cannot wait 2 years. Yorha talks with Alec, telling him, let's forget about it. Enough complaining. Let's start where we can go. Alec asks her, where can we go? She replies, let's warm up. We don't need a license to enter the first floors because we are adventurers and this is a dungeon city. Then, Yorha and Alec each use their power to confront the red flappers. Alec defeats them with his power. Yorha asks him, I was planning on making it a simple round trip today, but I'm not imagining things. The numbers of these red flappers aren't small. There are many of them. Alec speaks, saying, they are agitated. Something must have happened to their nest. Yorha is astonished. She tells him that she didn't expect to get stuck on the 2nd floor and prepares to use a shield to face the red flappers. Alec stops her, telling her, let's act smart and take them out one by one. She tells him that she will use the shield. She asks him, you haven't fully recovered your strength yet. You usually have no problem facing these monsters, so let me take this. We are companions. Alec gathers his strength, intending to save his companion. They use their powers and manage to defeat the red flappers. Then a monster emerges in front of them and grabs Yorha. Alec realizes that this monster is the reason the red flappers were acting that way. He encourages Yorha by telling her she possesses great strength. Alec then summons a dragon to face the monster, and he defeats it. Yorha lands on the ground and tells him that he is the strongest mage. He thanks her. They then go to help their friends and succeed in defeating the dragon. They celebrate, and their friend informs them that they successfully cleared floor 68, which is a new record. They unite and say, Alsting Period. We hope these days last. And that is the end of today's episode. If you liked the video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all our new content. Our episode today begins with everyone anticipating the results and the graduation ceremony. We see Rosa, the girl with the slightly whitish hair, saying, these troublesome kids have been worrying me. They're a brilliant team. Yes, friends, I'm talking about the 68th floor conquerors. They achieved a spectacular victory, massively surpassing their previous record of the 37th floor. The team before you now is the Alec squad. They even managed to clear the floor containing the Hydra boss. Then we see the headmistress addressing them. Listen closely. I will will now announce the results. In 4th place in the class is Ernest Rhine. Yes, that pale boy with the green eyes. In 3rd place is Krisha, the beautiful girl with the gray eyes. 2nd place is Yorha, the girl with the red hair. And the undisputed top of the class is Alex, the one with the distinctive, beautiful orange cat eyes. They tried to tease her, saying, "Thank you, Rosa-chan," but she hates being called Chan. The group repeats the name, making her furious. She snaps, "I told you never to call me that, or I'll beat you senseless." Afterward, they leave this beautiful place just before sunset, with falling leaves everywhere. Suddenly, Alex stops and declares, "I've decided I will become a court mage. My father was against it, but I want this because I want to earn money. I want him to relax for once in his life. He raised me alone after my mother died. He suffered so much. Also, my friend trained me a lot in the beginning. I thought we could all become adventurers, but this is life. Some are adventurers, some are plumbers, some are laborers, some are ministers. Life has ranks and different people." Ernest speaks up. "If you join us, we will undoubtedly be the best squad, consisting of the 4 geniuses the Academy has ever known. We are truly the greatest 4. Krisha immediately retorts, "What? Do you really consider yourself a genius?" Ernest gets angry. "Shut up, you animal. I would have been first in class any other year." But she keeps provoking him. Alex simply smiles. Then Yorha talks to him. "Alex, listen well. We might take different paths, but one day, after we achieve something great, we'll come back to recruit you. We really want you with us. We will stay in constant contact, and someday we'll form an amazing team. Though we don't know when that day will come. Maybe we'll be waiting impatiently for it." After this, Alex goes with Yorha to drink juice and celebrate the welcome, but she is very sad that he is leaving her alone. Then she falls asleep on the table, likely from exhaustion. Alex covers her carefully. Just then, a strange person approaches him and says, "How kind of you. You are truly gentle, but you shouldn't act this way." Alex doesn't pay him any attention. He doesn't even look up. He ignores the man and continues eating and drinking. The other man gets furious. "That's very bad behavior, new guy. Let me teach you some manners." He attempts to hit Alex with a glass wine bottle he's carrying, but Alex instantly activates a shield wall, easily protecting himself. Alex finally looks at him. The large man says, "I know you well. I heard you were a court mage in Gildana, but what is an elite mage like you doing here as an adventurer?" He hands Alex a permit to enter a certain area, saying, "Consider this a thank you for trying to hit you, but there's one condition. Magic. Show me your magic now." Alex asks, "Who are you?" But then Yorha wakes up and exclaims, "What? The guild master. What brings you here?" Alex is shocked. The guild master says, "Come with me to the open arena. Welcome to the lower ring. We usually use this to test teams we want to rank up. The rules are simple, but you must impress me with your magic." The guild master introduces himself as Level. Alex recognizes him as the incredibly powerful mage who previously led an S-rank squad. Level confirms, "Yes, that's me, but that was a long time ago. Now let's get serious." Alex immediately uses lightning power, but Level counters with even greater force. Not only that, but Level uses a simple enhancement spell, Jet Booster, and moves at such high speed that no one can track him. He attempts a decisive blow, but Alex swiftly uses the wall to protect himself. The force of the blow throws him far away, but he gets up and thinks fast. He then uses thunder magic to create a shield and a sword. Level yells, "Come at me!" Don't hesitate. Alex charges quickly, using a shocking lightning strike that momentarily overwhelms Level's magic. Level steps back and says, "You are great, and this is fun." This time, he uses overwhelming energy, the invincible dragon's power. His hands transform into the hands of a mighty dragon, and he swoops down for a strike. Alex dodges quickly. What incredible power! The strike demolishes the ground as if a missile has hit it from thousands of miles away. Alex uses his thunder energy, but it's not enough. Level closes in and lands an incredibly powerful punch, but Alex activates the protection wall again. Level keeps striking repeatedly until he finally breaks the barrier. Alex doesn't give up. He lands a direct hit on Level's chest, then quickly circles around him, trying to land the finishing blow. But at that exact moment, something strange happens. His magical energy is depleted, and he collapses unconscious onto the ground. Yorha quickly rushes to check on him and heal him. At that moment, another person arrives and says, "What are you doing without me? And how can an S-rank adventurer use all his energy at once?" They take Alex home. They talk about how Alex has suffered in recent years, being rejected by everyone, and no one ever acknowledging his abilities. Yorha looks at him with disappointment and sadness. At that moment, a guild girl rushes in and says, "We have a huge problem! Help us quickly!" The guild master takes her and leaves. Afterward, Ernest talks to Yorha about her life story. A miserable, boring, and very difficult tale. No matter her abilities, no one supported her, but she relied on herself, fighting and making great efforts until she reached second place. Alex wakes up and asks, "What? Why am I here?" They tell him not to worry. Yorha says, "What do you think of this surprise? You got your license. Now we can go to the crypt together." Ernest interrupts, wait, there's something very important we must settle first. Revenge. Yes, we will go to the palace of that wretch prince and strike a powerful blow. Alex calms him down. Easy. I'm angry about this too, but I'm not upset to that extent. Ernest replies, you can't accept this. The whole world knows about this aggression and lack of resistance. Alex reminds him that fighting other teams is forbidden everywhere. Ernest asks Yorha, aren't you angry about what they did to one of our comrades? She replies, to be honest, I am angry, but we shouldn't do anything. We should just forgive those who hit and attacked us. This is not the time for revenge. Ernest says, fine, you're right. We must become the strongest adventurers in the world. Then we'll do whatever we want. If their country ever gets into trouble, they will undoubtedly come begging to us. Yes, I will wait for that moment when we refuse the request of the wretch prince. The scene quickly shifts to Level, the guild master. A girl has been directly hit and injured, yet he scolds her. An S-rank squad running into trouble means the entire guild runs into trouble. What is happening, Chrysia? She replies, unfortunately, we need help. Gather some members immediately. Level quickly gathers many members and says, I believe we are lucky to have so many of you gathered for this short mission. I assume you guessed why you were summoned, but we are assembling a rescue team for Recroma. Chrysia's team standing right here. That beautiful girl with the hair. They are on the 64th floor, a level that devastates those with heavy defenses. Everyone is shocked. The scene shifts to Alex. Chrysia comes to him and asks, why do you look so troubled? You look like you're 50 years old. Don't overthink things, he replies. Life and its dark woes. But thankfully, how are you? She says, I'm fine, but I'm very sad to see you like this. I wanted to tell you, they are currently having a meeting. Aren't you going? He explains, they wanted A-rank adventurers. I'm still just a newcomer. She uses her full healing ability on him and says, how about this? I won't ask where you were, what you were doing, or what messed you up like this. But if you're suffering, why don't you talk to me? You know I'm a doctor and specialized in these things. Oh, sorry, I just don't want to cause trouble. She approaches and puts her hand on his head. Just then, Ernest enters and says, Alex, the moment you've been waiting for has arrived. We've mobilized the old man, meaning the guild master, for a rescue mission. They explain what happened. This place is located in the West Vissel Crypt. The crypt we are currently clearing. We cannot use healing magic there, so you will need potions. The matter is very dangerous, and we will rely on you, Alex, for this mission. You are free to accept or refuse this task, going to the 64th floor. Your mission will be the hardest, fighting the boss. Alex says, I'm fine, don't worry. Apart from my fear of being out of practice, I'll go. They will go in 2 groups, and the guild master will also go there. Alex didn't hesitate. He accepted the responsibility, and they quickly headed to the West Vissel Crypt. What will they do there? Will things go as planned? Or will the situation turn into a major catastrophe? Tune in for the next episode, but make sure to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell notification so you receive everything new and exclusive. The anime episode begins with Alex and his female companion at this dungeon mass, their goal being to rescue Recroma. They are currently on floor 64, a level known for devastating tanks, defensive fighters, and where healing magic is ineffective. If they were to follow the normal route, they wouldn't arrive in time. However, they possess a special core that allows them to bypass boss fights and reach the level where Recroma was found. This core is essential for anyone aiming to invade the deeper levels. Their core would usually take them to floor 52, but by using the core that Krista Karasia brought, they can instantly warp directly to floor 64. Alex wonders aloud why the guild leader would entrust them with something so crucial. His friend, Yorha, replies that the other team also has a core just like theirs. She then explains that the floor 64 boss is rumored to be an undead, so the guild is relying on Alex for this battle. She advises him to conserve his resources. Yorha then uses the core, and they successfully transition to floor 64, known as the tank breaker level. Massive swarms of skeletal monsters immediately rush towards them. Ernest quickly charges forward to slaughter them. Yorha rushes to back him up with her magic. Alex is surprised, realizing that Ernest also possesses a relic weapon. His friend, Chrysia, explains that Ernest's sword is the Black Lance. It pierces and cuts with impossible sharpness and is nearly unbreakable. However, she doubts the weapon suits Ernest, although it is the perfect tool for this particular fight. Ernest leaves nothing for the others to do as he continues his massacre. Suddenly, Alex senses a frightening presence behind him. He quickly casts a spell to kill whatever it is, but finds nothing. Yet, he is certain he felt something strange. Ernest asks what he sensed and where it was located. Alex stumbles slightly, then suddenly swings his sword towards a spot, successfully revealing a large monster. Seeing it, he knows it is a Soul Reaper. The fight begins, and many more monsters appear, flickering in and out of sight. During the fight, Ornest comments to Alex that he didn't realize Alex still possessed such skills. He asks Alex not to misunderstand him, admitting he heard about the invisible enemies, but doesn't know how to face them, adding, "You're the genius, Alex is the sorcerer, so this should be easy for him." Alex understands what Ornest means, that he hasn't earned any respect or confidence over the last 4 years, but Alex still refuses to accept Ornest's actions. Alex manages to kill the Soul Reaper, but suddenly they are surrounded by an overwhelming number of monsters. Everyone panics except Ornest, who seems indifferent. Yorha reminds Ornest that while she knows she said it before, they are here on a rescue mission, and his recklessness is unacceptable. Ornest and Alex charge toward the hordes to eliminate them. Alex orders his friends to stand back while he finishes the job. He uses a spell called Tharbolt to obliterate the monsters, killing them all. Ornest asks Alex why he only used that particular spell. It was the only one he used against the Elder, and Ornest knows Alex has many other tricks. Alex ignores him and tells his friends they should move on. Ornest stops them, claiming Alex is hiding something and needs to confess. Suddenly, they hear terrible sounds of destruction from a distance. Yorha realizes these sounds must be coming from the boss floor. Ornest becomes increasingly excited and runs towards the noise. Alex orders his friends to follow him, and they all chase after Ornest. They suddenly find themselves in a desolate desert where Ornest is sitting on the ground. Alex goes to him and asks if he needs help. Suddenly, a monster appears, chasing a young man who is screaming for help. Ornest recognizes the fleeing youth as Loki Silveria, informing the group that Loki is a deceptive support mage who wasted most of Recroma's time. Loki overhears this and berates Ornest, promising to make him regret it and return to haunt them even if he dies. Ornest retorts that everyone here calls Loki a scoundrel. Alex corrects him, saying Ornest is the only one who calls him that. Loki continues running from the monster, but suddenly falls to the ground. The monster lunges to strike him. The others worry, but Krysia reassures them that he's fine. That's just Loki's fighting style. As the monster moves to attack Loki, Loki uses trapping spells to ensnare it. Krysia comments that if they're being serious, they should consider Loki a brilliant strategist. Loki then uses his fire magic on the monster, which mocks him. Loki then uses his full power to finally kill the monster. The real battle begins between the monster and Alex's friends. When Alex tries to use his power, the monster runs away from them, but it continues to pursue Loki. Alex uses his power to strike the monster, hitting it successfully. Alex uses his magic, but the monster escapes unharmed. Ornest throws Loki toward the rest of the group to save them from the monster. Yorha tells Krysia to take Loki and get to higher ground. We must protect Loki from everything. You and Alex cooperate and finish it off. Loki and Krysia wait atop a rock for a signal to attack the monster below. Krysia signals them, and they unleash their magic. Ornest charges the monster, but is struck down. Yorha rushes to save Ornest. Loki watches them from above, remarking, "The lasting squad has been reunited." He comments on Alex's magic, noting that his ability to cast 3 spells at once means he is skilled, but his whisper ability makes him a true genius. Krysia informs him that Alex can cast many more spells than just 3. Ornest charges the monster and strikes it from behind, shouting, "You underestimated me, but you can contemplate that with your life." Alex uses his magic on the monster, seemingly delighted that he has killed it, but suddenly the monster withdraws from the magical sphere Alex used, completely unharmed. Everyone is shocked. Ornest tells Krysia to finish it off. Krysia directs her arrow toward the monster, and everyone unleashes their spells. Alex remarks to the monster, "You're much calmer than I expected, given the circumstances, but you chose the worst possible attack to use against me. I was taught a very unique spell that only 2 people in the Academy's history have ever used. Its brilliant innovator and Alex. He uses his power on the monster. The monster tries to defend itself but fails, then falls to the ground, still alive. Ornest then attacks and cuts it in half. Ornest asks Alex, "What was that thing you called the fierce beast?" Alex replies, "That's just my way of encouraging you." Everyone gathers around Ornest, teasing and laughing at him. Loki approaches them, saying, as expected of the legendary Lasting Squad. He tells Alex, "I know everything about you. The magic that defeated Hydria. Some say it's not true, but I believe it." Alex replies, "I'm a former mage. It's nothing to be upset about." Loki tells him, "That's not what I mean. It was stupid of Galdana's court to let you go." He then thanks Yorha, and consider yourself covered for bringing him back. Anyway, since you're helping me, may I have some potions? I gave everything I had to my team, and I believe they aren't fighting anymore. The one you just defeated was likely a boss, and there are many bosses here. Ornest interjects, "My duty was to distract the fools. Grabbing attention suits you, as I am very talented." Ornest gives Loki a potion. He then tells Loki, "You're very kind. You know this wasn't free, right? You owe me. Yorha gets frustrated with them, telling Alex, they always act like this. Enough wasting time. Tell us about the other boss. Loki informs her, yes, the real boss, like the previous one, is undead. It's a knight whose entire body is encased in black armor, although the armor might be empty. I'm certain physical attacks won't harm it. He then hands Alex a crossbow, saying, this is for you. You're also skilled with weapons. I can see it clearly. You get very close to the enemy, like a frontline combatant. You are excellent at making the enemy believe you are the greatest threat, and you are tempting prey. Yorha argues. He is a support mage. Surveying the battlefield is his duty. That is a relic weapon. You can't face the bosses of the deeper floors without it. It's called Schwartz Cane. And now it belongs to you. Ornest asks, why would you give him something so valuable? Yorha retorts, you are trying to turn Alex into a frontline fighter. We are fighting a bodiless undead. Not wanting him to use magic is foolish, Ornest exclaims. I love these things. Lying, deceiving, misleading, and trapping. Every wicked trick imaginable. And that's why we will start by deceiving our own friends. We will launch a surprise, wicked attack from the front. Thus concludes today's episode of this anime. Stay tuned for the next episode. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive all our new content. Our story begins with this group running for their lives from monsters. Yes, the very monsters you see before you now. Flesh-eating worms. Her companion yelled, Linny, hit them with a fatal spell, now. I can't, she replied. My magic isn't working. We have to run. But overcome with a sense of bravado, he declared, you're all useless. I'll face them myself. He drew his sword, only to be struck down instantly. We have to fall back, Your Highness, Linny shouted. They quickly scooped him up and fled. As they escaped, he thought to himself, why am I so weak? After rethinking it, he realized, it all started after I kicked out Alex. That kid probably cursed me as revenge for firing him. The scene shifts quickly to a man who is a scion of the Phrynos Vaughn family. His Highness apologizes to him, saying, I'm very sorry to make you work right now, but please, take your chance and see if someone has put a curse on me. After performing some incantations, the scion informed him that there was nothing. He was 100% normal. The prince became enraged. How can that be? Are you saying I'm the one at fault? That I'm just weak? Maybe a spell was cast on me to make me weak enough. I have only told you the truth, the scion said. I don't flatter anyone. The prince grew angrier still. No, maybe that idiot Alex cursed me. Why else would I struggle on the 30th floor? It's supposed to be easy. The scion explained, you're struggling because that floor contains anti-magic fields. Your magic support probably just isn't working. Didn't Alex tell you about this before? Rin scoffed, how would that idiot know anything? He's just a beginner. Alex was a member of the legendary party that reached the 68th floor, Frod the Scion informed him. The prince laughed mockingly. That's just a fairy tale spread by commoners. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. A guard entered and said, excuse me, sir. The king has requested to speak with you immediately regarding Alex. A wicked smile spread across the prince's face. The scene shifts. What do you want from me, father? The prince asked. His father, the king, replied, do you know someone named Aldous? Do you recognize that name? He was the court mage I banished decades ago. That man dared to tell me that we must change the way court mages are treated, or else something terrible would befall the city of Galdana in the near future. He was a noble, yet he dared to say something so foolish. He was very powerful, but it's strange. No noble has the right to speak to the king in such a way. How dare he speak to you like that, father? The king continued his story. Unfortunately, it didn't end there. After being stripped of his position and family name, he attended magic academies as a commoner. He silenced his critics with his incredible skills, then used the special privileges granted to him for graduating first in his class to return to my side as a court mage. Then, about a year later, he disappeared from the palace. He told me, commoners are not useless, my lord. I discovered this myself when one saved me. The king then turned to his son. My son, do you understand why I, the crown prince, ordered you to explore the dungeon? I don't know, the prince replied. The king spoke again. I wanted to know if what he said was true. We must have equality and justice among our people. The time has finally come to change how things are run in my kingdom. First, our policy of discriminating against commoners will be abolished entirely. We will hire highly skilled individuals like Alex. Hearing this, the prince was deeply shocked. He began to stammer. This is ridiculous. Accepting help from commoners will bring shame to our family for generations. I know things will change a lot, but we must be fair. We cannot hoard everything for ourselves. That is pure contempt. Father, we can't do this. We shouldn't do this. We are the kings and they are the slaves. I'm the proof of that, father. Look at my hand. It was broken broken when those fools interfered. If I had been alone, I could have cleared the entire dungeon myself. At that moment, the man named Fraud Vaughn entered and said, "Look at this scorched paper, Rigo. It's a report on clearing the 30th floor." Written by Alex himself. The boy froze again, as if he'd seen a ghost, and his hands began to tremble. His father added, "One must clear a floor many times to write a report like that." The prince stormed out, leaving his father, the king. The king called out to Sir Vaughn, "I know this won't be easy, but you must help him." The prince walked out, truly in shock, weeping. His head felt like it was about to explode. "I don't understand anything." He wrote a whole report. How did he do that? Maybe he wasn't the useless one I claimed he was. Maybe I'm the one who's so useless that I don't even deserve to know the truth. In a fit of rage, he smashed a nearby vase. The scene shifts to Alex and his party, where his companion, Loki, tells him that the new sword is a gift. Alex is clearly impressed. They tell him they understand that artifact weapons are powerful, but this boss is one of the undead and resistant to physical attacks. Ornest cuts him off, telling Loki not to just show up out of nowhere and start giving orders. Loki tells him to calm down and listen, explaining that he doesn't mean Alex shouldn't use magic at all. Yorha understands his plan, to make the boss think Alex is a pure fighter. It isn't a bad plan, but she doesn't see the point in trying to trick a monster. Loki replies that he's certain this floor boss is intelligent and also a skilled duelist. He knows they won't believe him, so Alex tells him he'll have to see it for himself first. Loki said he wasn't there to give orders. He just wanted Alex to use his sword until he gave the signal. "Of course," he added. "You can finish it off with a flashy spell." Alex thinks for a moment and agrees to do it. He then turns to Krasia, saying he needs her help with a spell. Krasia coldly replies that she doesn't take orders from him. He asks her, "Don't you want to clear this great dungeon on your own 2 feet? I was thinking of taking a shortcut by teleporting, but the spell drains a lot of magic, and I don't think I have enough." She informs him that teleportation is a top secret magic known only to governments. He tells her he stole it, but adds that it's fine, as long as they don't get caught. He then tells them that if they use it, they'll all become his accomplices. Alex thinks for a moment, then tells his friend Yorha that if anything goes wrong, they'll hold Loki fully responsible. Loki and Krasia sit down to draw the spell circle on the ground. He asks her to charge a section of the circle with magical energy. Nearby, Alex talks with Yorha, asking if they can really put their trust in Loki. She replies, "We shouldn't trust him, but we have to rely on him." She reminds Alex, 2 years ago, he organized the raid on the incredibly difficult Arcana dungeon without a single casualty. His team leader is known for his integrity. Alex is impressed. He then calls out to his friend Ornest and asks him to train together. Ornest refuses at first, telling him not to push himself since he's lost his fitness. "If I spar with you, I won't go easy on you," he warns. But Alex insists, "Do you remember the rules or not?" Ornest asks, "First one down loses. First to lose gets punished." Loki hears them and laughs at their antics. Krasia tells him they've known each other for 4 years. The same goes for Recroma. She then adds, "I can't believe he agreed to face a floor boss alone." Loki says to her, "If you want me to teach you something different, just ask. I can teach you all sorts of things." She gets angry and tells him, "I'll kill you if you say that again." They all gather around the circle to use the teleportation spell, heading to the location Loki specified. He tells them to get ready to fight, then scoffs at Ornest. This group is perfect, except for the genius wannabe. Ornest gets angry, but before he can do anything, the spell activates, and they are transported to the floor. There, they find 2 people fighting the floor boss, unable to defeat or escape it. The group's leader tells his friend Krista, "Go to the guild. Take this crystal and tell Livel they need a rank A mage." "No, we need someone even better than that." Suddenly, Marbell runs towards the monster to attack it. The leader shouts after her, telling her not to be reckless since they don't have enough magic. "We can't even slow it down." Out of nowhere, Ornest rushes at the monster, telling the others to get out of his way. He strikes it, but the attack has no effect at all. It's incredibly strong. Then, Alex appears from behind the monster to strike as well. The monster lunges at them both. Loki and Krasia go over to Ruel and Marbell to take them away and heal them. We see Alex and Ornest fighting the monster, but its armor is tough. They charge at the monster, and Ernest says, "Then we shouldn't consider this a fight against a person. I've done this before. I won't let you escape again. This time, you won't get away." He rushes toward Alex and cuts off the monster's head. But suddenly, the creature rises again, headless. Everyone is shocked. Yuri exclaims, "An undead beast, half man, half horse." But the one we killed before was only his steed. Then, in an instant, the monster disappears and reappears above them, attacking Alex. Alex blocks the strikes, saying, "Such speed and power." This isn't isn't even his full strength. Roy unleashes her power, and Loki joins in too. Together with Alex, they attack the monster and manage to throw it to the ground. Loki says, "I wonder if that attack worked." Alex replies, "Its armor is incredibly strong. I used my best weapon. Good thing it didn't break." Ernest tells him, "If your sword weren't enchanted, it would have shattered on the first hit. But he'll rise again. If our blades could kill him, he wouldn't be undead." The monster appears once more, this time wearing a mask. Its roar is deafening. It charges at Alex and throws him far away. But Yuri uses her powers to protect him. She rushes to his side to check if he's okay. He says he can use combat arts too. "If you'd been even 1 second late with that spell, I'd be dead." Alex then asks Loki, "How much time do I need to buy?" Loki answers, 5 minutes. That's my estimate." Alex smirks. "You make it sound easy. I've got 3 potions left." Ernest charges at the monster alone, but he can't do much without Alex's help. He drinks his last potion, then rushes back in, attacking alongside Alex. They strike with all their might, but the monster blocks every blow. Ernest speaks to Alex as they fight. 4 years later, and we finally meet again. You still have that same foolish look on your face. What have you been through? Why stay silent until you tell me what's wrong? I can't reach you unless you open up. We were comrades for 6 years. We ate together, fought together, watched each other's backs. Am I wrong to want to help you? Alex replies, "That's not fair. I just wanted to repay the kindness you showed me. I thought if I changed the kingdom's fate, that would be enough. That's why I left, even though you all wanted me to stay." They strike again, but the monster keeps deflecting their attacks. Alex continues, "In the end, that was all I could do, protect his position." Ernest answers, "Your wish was important. Otherwise, I would have never endured that filthy place." "That's enough for me." Alex is stunned. Tears fall from his eyes. Then Loki steps in saying, "Exactly 5 minutes. Time's up for muscle without brains." The smart beast. I can deceive even him. Suddenly, the monster growls angrily and attacks Loki. Alex shouts, "Get back!" But the monster strikes Loki hard. Loki smirks. "My special magic circle scared you, huh? You have every right to fear a mage. But you panicked and stepped right into the trap." He vanishes, his voice echoing from above. "I've started deceiving even my friends. But that's helped us move forward faster than expected." Let's do something about that. We see Loki's plan unfold. He's drawn magic circles on the ground. "Of course Ernest would get angry and charge me directly," he says. Ernest realizes what's happening. "So this was your plan all along. That's why you asked for Kratcha's help." Kratcha casts her spell on Ernest, and he charges at the monster. Loki comments, "As expected from a healing expert. I'm impressed you turned that spell into a trap after seeing it only once." Then Marble attacks the monster, but he blocks her strike. She says, "Our friend Loki figured that out." The monster roars in fury and turns toward Loki. Loki tells Krassia, "Fall back." But Krassia replies, "He's already seen through your trick. We should have known luck wouldn't favor us twice." She attacks, but the monster parries again. Then Yuri casts a massive spell, summoning countless magic circles in the sky. Chains shoot down, wrapping around the monster, but it's too strong. The beast breaks free and slams Loki to the ground. Alex shouts, "The stage is yours! Claim all the glory!" Alex answers, "Leave it to me." And that's how today's episode ends. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. On Alec summons several magic circles. This impresses Loki because the sheer number of spells is even more than Alec used on the other floor boss. Of course, it isn't easy to use so much mana, so Alec collapses from exhaustion. Alex's determination is unrivaled, however, so he stands once more and casts even more spells. Alec covers the sky in magic circles, and Marbell is amazed because she can't even see the beast anymore. Alec loudly unleashes his Thunderbolt acceleration spell, and bolts of lightning rain down upon the beast. It screams in agony as it takes major damage, but Wunes is in disbelief when the monster is somehow still able to move. Despite being electrocuted, the monster begins breaking some of their chains, and Yorha realizes that her 3-point steel won't hold for much longer. Things are not looking good, so Yorha pleads for Alec to end the fight right now. Alec tries hard to remind himself to keep drawing circles in his mind to cast even more spells, but he's extremely exhausted. He's on the verge of passing out, and Loki says that it's understandable. This is the second time in just one day that Alec is using acceleration, and any normal person would have been done for after the first one. The sudden drain of mana is proving to be too much, and Loki predicts that Alex's body will fail him soon enough. He points out that it doesn't matter how much of a genius Alec is, because he will still have his limits. Just then, Alec thinks about how he was banished as a court magician. It was a terrible failure, But Alec also thinks about how all his friends still believed in him. Even at his lowest, there were still people who reached out to him and gave him a chance. Those are all his closest friends, so Alec promises not to disappoint them. Alec pushes past his limits once more and unleashes an even more insane spell. Everyone is stunned, but Alec's friends know that this is the real Alec. Alec's attack summons a giant energy dragon, and he declares that this will be his final attack. Yorha reaches her limit, so the seal begins to fade and the beast frees itself. Alec is ready, however, so he instructs the dragon to devour his enemy. The beast tries to go in for an attack, but the dragon's far too powerful, and it easily smashes the boss monster into tiny pieces. Alec is victorious, but he collapses from exhaustion. It's not all bad though, as he thinks about how having people rely on him feels pretty good. Yorha points out that their life isn't all about that though, because all they're really doing is going to a dungeon and having tons of fun adventuring. Oris is glad to see that the old Alec is back, but CRA jokes that he could have done even more, or points out that he's actually the winner of their little bet, because it was a bet to see who would fall first. Alec was the one that collapsed, but Orness promises to have mercy on him when deciding what to make Alec do, as a punishment for losing. After some thought, Orness decides on what he wants. He decides that Alec can't hide stuff from them anymore, like he did 4 years ago. He points out that if anything is ever bothering Alec, he has 3 good friends that he can talk to. Oris declares that that's Alec's punishment for losing, but Alec says that he's being far too easy on him. Orness offers to pick something much worse, but Alec agrees to never hide anything from them. Loki tries to celebrate with the ladies, but he pays the price for his terrible hand placement. The leader of the Recroma party introduces himself as Rywell, and Marble thanks Alec with a kiss. Yorha is horrified to see this, and Marble even invites Alec to go tackle another dungeon together. Yorha is furious though, and reminds her that Alec is the mage in her party. Loki, meanwhile, points out that he has never seen anyone deploy as many spells as Alec did, and if it wasn't for Alex's party, they would have lost their lives. Loki thanks Alec for everything, and Alec thanks Loki in return because he really enjoyed carrying out his plan. Oris and Kadia tease Loki because the help they gave means that Loki now owes them something. Loki has no choice but to agree to this, but he points out that the two of them are only on the same page when they are ganging up on him. Loki assumes that Alec wants a recommendation, but he says that that's asking for something really difficult. Alec doesn't even know what kind of recommendation he's talking about. So Rywell clarifies that he's talking about a recommendation for an S-rank promotion. To go from A to S-rank, a person would need a recommendation from an S-rank party and the guildmaster's approval. Rywell declares that he will take care of it, or is sure that he will because Riel is way more trustworthy than Loki is. Loki takes great offense to this, so he tells Rywell to back him up. But Rywell knows better than anyone that Loki cannot be trusted. Not a single person is on Loki's side, and everyone has a good laugh about it. Alec retrieves the magic gem left by the dungeon boss, and he shakes hands with Rywell before they leave. He says that Alec has a great party, and this comes as no surprise to Ornest, who declares that they are the legendary Lasting Period. At the guild, Misha is amazed to hear that they beat the Floor 64 boss. The entire guild has been talking about Alec for days, and he's becoming very popular. The guild master didn't even get to the fight before Alec defeated the boss. So Alex's party is receiving all the money for the mission. Misha is sure that the mission was really tough, and Alec can't deny it because the dungeon is huge, and it changes layout all the time. Alec then bumps into Levi, who tells him that he has a visitor. It's someone from his past, which means that they are from Galdana. Alec greets Vogan, but Vogan gets right to the point. He demands to know if Alec was trying to get the prince killed, and this question shocks our hero. Vogan is upset, as he wants to know why Alec didn't tell the prince that he was too weak to go so far into the dungeon. Alec points out that Vogan knows him well, so he should already know that his intention was not to end the prince's life. He explains that the prince simply would not have listened to a word he said, so he tried telling the king instead. Alec doesn't want anything bad for the prince, and he has even been thinking about the magician that the king recruited to replace him. Alec is worried that the replacement isn't doing a good job, but Vogan is annoyed by the entire situation. He says that being a mage in the prince's party is a massive waste of time, because the job is really just to be a babysitter to a spoiled brat. Alec is shocked to learn that the prince tried to take on Floor 30 and was badly wounded. He has fully recovered, but Vogan was still planning to lecture him about it. Unfortunately, the prince wanted to train with Vogan instead, which Vogan says is even worse. The most annoying part, though, is that the prince ordered for Vogan to escort him all the way out to the city. Alec is stunned because this means that the prince is here now, and Vogan warns him that the prince still has something against Alec. The prince is waiting for Alec in the underground arena, and Alec is actually glad, because he has some words for the prince as well. He wants to finally put the past behind him. So Alec heads underground. Vogan warns that the prince has a lot of pride. So Alec points out that that is just part of being a noble. Vogan calls having so much pride a waste of time, but Alec points out that Vogan is also a noble. Vogan doesn't care about any of that, however, as he explains that he just lives his life the way he wants. When they arrive, we see that Regulus is waiting for him and is pleased to see that Alec accepted his invitation. He is furious, however, as he explains that the king wants to change how the kingdom is run. Regulus had to concede to his father's decision, but he refuses to compromise his own beliefs. Working together with commoners goes against everything he was taught, because the commoners are nowhere near as capable as those that were born as the chosen elite. Regulus can't understand why his father is treating him like this now, and he begins to wonder if his entire 15-year life has all been a lie. He refuses to accept that, and he tells Alec that someone like him could never understand how he feels. Regulus has completely lost control of his emotions, and Alec agrees that he doesn't understand the young prince. Not how he feels, or why he refuses to accept the truth. All Alec can tell him is that his mindset is wrong, but this just upsets the prince even more. He can't admit to being wrong, and Alec points out that Regulus never listened to a word he said anyway. If Regulus had listened to him, then things would be different now, but the prince still isn't interested in hearing any nonsense. He points out that Alec will always be a useless commoner, so he will never be able to tell the prince what to do. Alec can tell that this is going nowhere, and the prince finally finds something to agree with. Talking isn't doing anything, and Regulus declares that he isn't going to change anything about himself. He says that he doesn't need to, and he challenges Alec to a fight. He reminds Vogon to keep his promise and reveals the true purpose of them coming here. Regulus plans to prove to his father that the change he seeks is not necessary. He will prove that with his own hands by defeating Alec, and Vogon is here as a witness. Regulus goes in for the first attack, but our hero is prepared. He is surprised though by the prince using twin blades, but Regulus can understand why. His daggers are artifacts, and he is sure that Alec has seen artifacts before. The reason Alec is surprised though has to do with their past. Alec actually told the prince before that the weapon he was using was just too hard for him to use, and Alec wanted him to change it. Alec explained that the longsword was too heavy for the young prince because he was still growing. He suggested that Regulus switch to wielding two small daggers because they would be easier and better suited to the prince's needs. The prince didn't seem to listen at the time, but now he's wielding twin blades. Unfortunately, Regulus isn't the great fighter that he thinks he is, and he only ends up falling flat on his face. Alec determines that this entire duel was all Vogan's idea, so Alec demands to know what he told the prince. Vogan explains that he told the prince that if he wanted to refute Alec's strength, then he should first see it for himself. If he insists on disproving Alec's power against all opposition, then he must do it himself alone as the crown prince. The prince's emotions are out of control, and Alec points out that he's still as stubborn as ever. Regulus charges in once more, but he's unable to land a single hit. Vogan says that he doesn't respect idiots who are all talk. However, idiots that take action are acceptable to him. Because of this, Vogan taught Regulus how to fight Alec with blades. Regulus does eventually manage to demonstrate some of this training as a powered-up attack breaks Alec's shield. Alec is unfazed, however, and Regulus reveals that he has actually come to understand something. The only reason he was able to fight as well as he did when they were in the same party was because of Alec's support magic. It's why he was able to survive so many dangerous situations, and why he was able to make it so far into the dungeon. Alec simply reminds him that the king ordered for him to protect the prince, so that is what he did. Regulus reveals after he fired Alec, he kept trying to clear floor 30 of that dungeon. However, each time he was gravely injured and forced to retreat. Alec is then shocked when Regulus says that they found a letter that Alec tried to give the king. Regulus was infuriated after reading it because Alec was right about everything. The report was incredibly detailed and simply perfect. There wasn't a single flaw, and Alec thought of everything when he wrote it. He even took into account the prince's personality and all the actions he would likely take. This made it clear to Regulus that Alec was a true genius, but this just made things worse. Regulus's mind just can't accept that. So, he says that Alec is the real problem. The only way that things can make sense again is that the prince defeats Alec in battle, and knocks him down a peg. His victory has to be earned, however, so he demands for Alec to use his artifact to fight as well. Regulus calls him a useless commoner once again, so Alec realizes that he will not back down, and he brings out his weapon. Alec can tell that Regulus is already aware of his powers, so he makes sure that this fight is really what the prince wants. Regulus is caught off guard when the reality of Alec's power begins to set in, and Alec only has one last question. He wants to know how the king came to his decision about changing the kingdom. Regulus reveals that his father wanted to test the strength of the commoners, which is why he sent them to the dungeon together in the first place. Regulus is upset by this, as well as he points out that the king used both of them. They were just an experiment before his father made his final decision. The king, being open to the idea of change, makes sense to Alec because the king was the only one at the court who treated him like a person. Regulus assumes that Alec is furious about being used just like he is. But the prince is shocked when Alec reveals that it's the opposite. Alec thought that he wasted those 4 years of his life trying to change the court, but now he realizes that those years had far more value than he could have imagined. The change is really happening, and to him that's the best reward possible. It's time for battle. So Alec prepares himself. A power begins to surge from his entire body, and this even catches Vogan's attention. The prince begins to tremble in fear, but it's too late to do anything about it. Alec charges at him, and Regal just now realizes that he's no match for Alec. Alec does massive damage, but Vogan is shocked to see that our hero spared the young prince's life. His attack left a giant slash in the ground, but Regulus can only wonder why Alec didn't strike him. He assumes that it's sympathy. So Regulus reminds Alec of all the terrible things he did to him. He insulted Alec all the time and ignored him whenever he tried to say anything. The prince desperately wants Alec to hate him, but Alec is completely unbothered. With nothing left, Regulus breaks down, and he begins to question himself. The prince wonders who he is, and realizes now that he had forgotten the answer to that question a long time ago. He has become a completely different person, and he doesn't even know what to do now. He doesn't know the difference between right and wrong anymore, so he begins to sob. Regulus believed in himself for the longest time, but it has only led him to this moment. He was sure that he was right in his beliefs, but his entire world is falling apart because of them. Regulus wouldn't have cared if Alec ended his life, because he thought that it would make his father reconsider his decision. That was the only way Regulus thought that he could be right about everything. But nothing is working. Now even a commenter is looking down on him with pity. So he demands for Alec to give him the answers to all his questions. He pleads for Alec to tell him who he is and what to do now. Of course, Alec can't answer these questions for him, and he can only laugh. He doesn't laugh as an insult, but more because it's just funny how things turn out sometimes. Alec came here to tell the prince off, and he was even ready to fight him. He was sure that they would be swearing and cursing at each other the entire time. Alec admits to being pretty mad himself before the fight, but for some reason, the prince somehow just ended up asking him for life advice. Alec lightens the mood as he points out that life is just funny sometimes, and he's shocked when the prince manages to humble himself to say sorry to Alec. He angrily apologizes again and wonders if Alec is satisfied now, but Alec just says that he wasn't being sarcastic or anything. He admits that he doesn't really understand anything either, but the prince doesn't know what he means. Alec explains that people have been helping him out his entire life, who he is, or what he should do next. Alec still can't even answer those questions for himself. However, he does know that those aren't questions for other people to answer. Alec suggests that the prince should find those answers and decide for himself. Alec offers a hand to him, but Regulus refuses at the last moment. He has cooled down after losing his emotions and says that he doesn't know why he was speaking with Alec in the first place. The prince returns Alex's robe that he ripped off his back when he fired him, and he admits that it wasn't right. On top of that, Vogan reveals that the king sent something to Alec. Regulus explains that it's a message, saying that the king is keeping the seat of court magician open for Alec. It's open for Alec whenever he wants it. So, Alec can only wonder if the king is ordering him to accept it. Vogan explains that it's actually just a request, but Alec is still hesitant. Regulus is then shocked when Alec refuses both the robe and the letter. Alex simply explains that his new party has a rule against leaving, so there's no way that he can go back to being a court magician. More importantly though, Alex says that he just doesn't want to. Alec has a message for the king as well, and he tells Vogan to relay it to him. He says that a lot of bad stuff happened those 4 years, but he still thanks the king for everything. Regulus still gives Alec his robe back and just leaves. He calls Alec a fool for rejecting the kindness of the king, but Alec points out that the prince always thought of him as a fool anyway. He teases the prince one last time, as he reminds him that he's just a useless commoner, and Regulus tells Alec one last time just how much he hates him. Alec says that he feels the same way about the prince, and he's glad that they finally agree on something. The two part ways, but we see that the prince managed to learn something as he laughs on his way out. Thanks for watching my recap. Make sure to like the video. Hey guys, welcome back. Today's episode is amazing, but first things first, let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Alec turned to his friends and asked, "Are you guys free today?" Yorha immediately replied, "Yes, I'm completely free." She instantly thought he was going to treat them to something nice. Crassia said, "I'm free too." Ornest also confirmed he was available, as he loves going out. Then Alec dropped the bombshell that shocked them all. "That's great! Could you take me on a tour of this beautiful city?" Everyone's tone immediately changed, and they quickly tried to bolt, but Yorha stayed with him. "Don't worry about them. I've got you. I'll show you every inch of this city." In the afternoon, they headed out for a tour. Alec was extremely happy. Yorha explained to him, Vizel is an adventurer city. It's full of weapons, armor, tons of gear, plus shops, spare parts, everything you need. But the merchants here are incredibly shady. A lot of them steal and scam, especially beginner adventurers. They talked about Ornest and Crassia, mentioning how they always buy useless junk, wasting their money on silly things, and can never shop alone. Alec replied, "All right, I'll take charge of the shopping from now on." Afterward, they took a break, drinking tea, and talking more about Ornest and Crassia. Alec asked Yorha why Crassia and Ornest hate Loki so much. Yorha began to tell the story. This happened before Ornest got his legendary relic weapon. As you know, he's reckless and careless. When it's time to fight, he loves swinging his sword around a lot, but he really takes care of his weapons. Remember how he'd clean and polish them at the academy after every trip? When people asked if he'd buy a new sword, he'd always say, "I won't change my weapon as long as this one is fine," she continued. About 2 years ago, we ran into an A-rank team struggling in a certain dungeon. That's when Loki and Uriel showed up to help. They cooperated, and while fighting the floor boss, Ornest took a hit to the back while protecting one of the other team's adventurers. He wasn't okay, but he tried hard to pretend he wasn't hurt. The result was inevitable. He collapsed on the way back. He has this strange pride, you see. Loki and Uriel carried him. Things got worse after that. Loki took Ornest's sword and threw it away while Ornest was unconscious. Loki said the sword was worn out and unusable and tossed it aside, just like we saw. I don't think Loki meant anything bad by it. I think he genuinely disposed of it because it was truly falling apart, but Ornest was furious. Loki didn't stop there. He provoked him even more. They haven't gotten along since then. As for Crassia, she hates him because she doesn't like people with yellow hair. They continued their walk and stopped at a vendor. Yorha found a magical ribbon that enhances magical energy, but when she saw the price, it was 50,000, far exceeding her expectations and budget. Alec didn't hesitate and bought it for her. She was ecstatic. She never expected him to buy it. Alec told her, "Your magic is what keeps the party going in a fight." Yorha thanked him profusely, promising to cherish it. After eating and finishing their tour, they stood on a balcony at sunset, able to see the dungeon entrance from there. Yorha asked Alec if he liked the city of Vizel. He told her, "It's an exciting place, full of freedom and vitality, unlike Galdana. I feel like a real adventurer here." She wanted to ask him something else, but worried about sounding selfish. When they met in Galdana, she invited him to join the party, admitting she took advantage of the fact that he had just been kicked out of the court. She sometimes felt anxious that maybe this isn't where he truly wants to be. He replied, "If your worries were true, I'd want to do more things in Galdana, but that doesn't matter now. Currently, Ornest's idea of striving to become the strongest truly excites me. With you, Ornest and Crassia, we can achieve anything." Yorha cried and told him, "We will never allow our party members to leave. Since I am the leader now, the Sting Period doesn't exist without the 4 of us. If you ever forget that, I'll ask Ornest to hunt you to the ends of the earth." She then said she understood he's the type to hide his feelings, so she was glad they talked. He told her he wanted her to know his true feelings. He then revealed, "I lost a bet against Ornest, and as punishment, I couldn't hold back my feelings anymore. It wasn't just a bet, it was a promise between men." He apologized for involving her in that matter. Yorha got angry at what he said. Alec tried to understand what was wrong, but she didn't tell him anything. The next morning, we find Alec sleeping. Ornest comes to wake him up, knowing he was studying all night, as he always does. Alec explained he was going through a lot of information, which is why he has a headache. Ornest told him, "Don't push yourself. You need to stick to a natural natural schedule. Wash up, eat, and change clothes. An adventurer's day starts early, and that's how you'll always be energized in the morning. Alec got ready, and they headed out to the forest for a full party training session. Alec and Ornest sparred again, as they always do. Crassia got tired of them constantly dueling. Yorha asked if it was too early for them to fight with such intensity. Ornest replied that these close combat weapons are made strong. Alec cut in. I must do everything I can to catch up, because you guys have 4 years of combat experience on me. They sparred intensely until the match ended with Alec's wooden sword breaking. Alec lamented, I dodged all your attacks. I really thought I'd defeat you today. Ornest told Alec, you won't defeat me in a fight for another 100 years. Now let's try using our relic weapons. They charged at each other, but Yorha stopped them. I won't let either of you get hurt during training. Then Loki appeared. Pleased to see you training so early. I'd like to train you a little. I am an S-rank adventurer, after all. They all immediately walked away, without hearing a single word he said. But then they heard that he was the one who submitted their recommendation for S-rank. He had their S-rank ID card with him. Yorha jumped to grab it, but failed. Loki told her, if you want it, I need Ornest to apologize for how he's acted towards me all this time. I'll give it to you right away. Ornest got angry, and Loki laughed heartily. Krista hit Loki on the head. You're acting like a child with these antics. She apologized on behalf of her partner's behavior. We came to deliver this on behalf of the guild master. Yorha thanked them profusely. The man explained, Recroma nominated you, and the Vazel guild master approved. You have been promoted to S-rank. They were overjoyed. Krista spoke to Alec. An S-rank party is now allowed access to the Arcana dungeon. It's a high difficulty, far more dangerous dungeon than floor 64. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Your nomination isn't enough to repay us for what you did for us. Contact us if you need help, and we'll drop everything and come. Alec thanked them deeply. Loki stepped forward. We're now 2 S-rank teams. Come on, let's celebrate together over a meal. Yorha and Crassia cheered loudly, announcing that Loki invited them to a celebratory feast. The scene moved to the restaurant, where they celebrated their S-rank promotion. Alec stated, we're an S-rank party now, Ornest told him. I can tell you're still wondering if you belong here or not. If you keep thinking like that, you don't deserve S-rank, because you haven't done anything worth mentioning. I'll beat you up if you do. This is the start of our legend. Starting today, we open a new chapter. If you don't forget those trivial matters, we'll punish you, Alec nervously replied. You scare me! Don't worry, I'll pay attention. Yorha announced they should drink to celebrate their S-rank promotion. Later that night, they were all exhausted from overeating and overdrinking. Alec commented that Yorha drank too much, even though she can't handle alcohol. Crassia responded, her spirits were high, and not just because of the promotion, but because you chose us instead of the king. Ornest said, he handled all that in our absence. If I had been there, I would have broken every bone in the prince's body. Suddenly, Misha rushed out of a nearby building, urgently calling out that someone needed treatment. Crassia immediately went and used her power to heal the young boy. Afterward, Misha thanked her, saying, there are so many injured people, far exceeding the capacity of our healers. Misha thanked Crassia, saying, there are so many injured people, they far exceed the capacity of our healers. Crassia replied, no problem. Just pay us when we complete our next mission, but you have a massive number of patients. Was there a major raid? Misha answered, haven't you heard? They weren't injured by monsters, but by other people, a group of criminals attacking adventurers, the Shadow Guild. Just then, the guild master approached them. I need your help here, Crassia. More injured? Crassia asked. The guild master explained, the infirmary is full, so I brought her to my private room. This is Olivia from the Nameless party. She was alone when the Shadow Guild attacked her. Crassia observed, her condition is serious. The guild master thanked her for her immediate assistance. Crassia thought to herself, sword wounds cover her body. Was she attacked by a skilled swordsman? Her breathing is weak. I need to help her regain her strength first. I'll spend the night here. Olivia woke up and grabbed Crassia's hand. Where am I? You're in a private room at the guild. Crassia introduced herself. I'm Crassia. The guild master asked me to look after you. Do you remember what happened? I heard the Shadow Guild attacked you inside the dungeon. Olivia's eyes flashed with anger. That traitor! I will find him. Don't move if you don't want to die, Crassia warned. Heal my wounds quickly. Olivia insisted. That's why you're here, right? I have something I must do, please. Crassia refused. Your condition will worsen if you try anything. You're S rank, yet you don't know the basics of healing magic. You're just a healer! Olivia snapped back. What do you know about a swordsman like me? Olivia immediately slumped back onto the bed. Crassia began treating her, noting internally, not all these wounds are recent. Old scars cover her body. This shows how many battles she has fought and survived. Olivia of Nameless is one of Vizel's best swordsmen. Who could do this to her? A traitor. Crassia continued using her healing magic. The scene shifted to Alec, taking a book from the library. Arcana Dungeon Records. Here we go. 4 years of experience are required. I need enough knowledge to compensate for that at least. A girl spoke up next to him. You're a diligent student, Alec. Are you talking to me? Alec asked. You're Alec Egret, correct? I've been sitting here for a while. Alec apologized. I was engrossed in my book. I don't know your name, but how can I help you? The parfait at the cafe next to the library is incredibly delicious. And I love sweets. Not to mention I'm starving from waiting so long. Do you understand, Alec? They went for dessert. The girl raved, it's so delicious. And then asked the waitress for 5 more parfaits. Alec, bewildered, said, I don't know if this is some kind of prank, but could we please get to the point? The girl introduced herself. I'm Lurk, and I'm not just a cute girl. I'm a member of the S-rank party, Nameless. She smiled at his reaction. What a response. You're a good kid. I heard the 4th member of Sting Period returned, and that you all reached S-rank, so I wanted to see who this person was. Alec inquired, and what did you learn just by talking to me once? You're suitable to fill the gap, she said simply. Are you interested in joining us? Our 4th member went missing in the Labyrinth dungeon, Alec. And that's how our episode ends. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new updates. Let's go to a flashback. Here's a teacher. He explains that mana is like the blood. If someone has a type different from yours, absorbing it is like poison yourself. But unlike with Tsuihou, there are tens of thousands of types of blood, of mana. In short, it's impossible to obtain mana from the outside. Always. You need to generate it from within. Or at least, that was normal until a certain little person appeared precisely in one of those days. When Rinigaba was on the 68th floor of the capital's dungeon, he came across quite a bit of information. Interesting. And that's because the Hydra, who? He was the boss of that place. He had 5 heads, and the 5 had 5 distinct elements, and in fact, they had that attack each other simultaneously with elements opposite, but that was complicated that was impossible. That's why Raines, it was quite frustrating. George took into account that Alec could use fire and lightning, so that the 3 of them had to divide into 3 types of magic: earth, water, and wind. It was then that precisely Crassia decided to practice wind. Gyorja was left with magic from land and water, but he doesn't know how to use attack spells, and obviously King neither. He can't even use spells, so it's a complete idiot who loves fighting with his girlfriend, and that Li Pegun mi representa. But with this information, Alex began to analyze it. All this magic is about to happen the entire academy and the dungeon of that. That was how he thought that inside there is a mana container and a form. The general only serves to expel him. But if he also manages to put magic into his inside, I could use all the mana that it surrounds him. And Joja tells him the obvious no. It's possible because he'll end up poisoned, because the mana within would reject mana from external sources. But Alex the body thinks it is, and in this, during such a deep conversation, Ryan gets angry because he doesn't understand anything. But they keep talking. Kra and Georga followed him, warning that it could be very dangerous, but Alex gave it exactly the same and went to practice. He got another one in his mouth, madness in his head, but his friends already, they are used to it. In fact, as it is the team's ace, they have a lot of faith in him. They know that in some crazy way he's going to get it. It doesn't matter if it's from common sense that it will poison you, they know. And that brings us directly to the present, where Melee observes attentively the stupid thing that Alec just committed. As we have already said, this is your due. He rose to control all the elements at once, and the first attack tried to dodge in a simple way. The second time, he ends up injured. And the best part of the thing is, our protagonist is quite lively, now is throwing gusts of wind constantly to pressure him, but this is just the beginning of the fun. Meleo in a crazy way. The guy starts laughing as he faces the cutting through a tornado. When he manages to get out towards Alec, as long as they make one thing clear, he only feels truly alive when he sees death. De otra manera no le find a meaning. Fight with those that are stronger than him to become stronger, and like Ale, the apprentice Eldas is a worthy opponent, he thinks. It catches Ale's attention. Remember, he immediately goes to his teacher and asks if he knows him. Malyi tells him that obviously yes, and he also knows that he probably will. He's looking, but he recommends forget that. Perhaps someone else could find him, but he won't. To the Iris, it seems Eldas hasn't told him everything. True, for example, he didn't talk to her about how his mother died. That's why he He asked what he had done, meet her mother, and a simple, the disease could not end his life. But that's enough talk for today. Sooner or later, he's going to find out on his own. The truth is, and when I do, it's going to be something fun. This is quite impressive. To Alec desperately wants obtain more information, but not the obtains. Milea says, that's enough. Jeru chatter. At that moment, he removes the core from the dungeon and somehow begins to activate it, just like Alec now. It exudes unimaginable power, but it is not really him, but his sword that filled with power, and the swordsman of he immediately tells him that he'd better give it better, because also his beloved spell, it's not like it's going to last very long either. Time. And speaking of this spell, precisely the Guildmaster. He met Ryan, and the blonde boy spoke to him about the same thing and how crazy he is. There is the legendary Wizard of the 5 colors, and that's something that makes you fall in love. Even more so to marvel. Because now he is definitely an all-powerful being, but according to the kingdom, use it as fire. 12 cannon shots using your body like a cannon. Don't ask me about where the bullet would come out, but the thing is, which can only be used for 10 minutes? Yeah, it exceeds it. It will end up destroyed and there is no way to recover from that? Oh well, that's precisely why Ray wants to retire immediately to get to where Alec is. Although, while he tries, the poor fellow he ends up fainting again. It's very bad, wounded, and can do nothing although want. On the other hand, the master of the guild is impressed because Mr. Patches, that is, our beloved Gloria, he was defeated despite being someone with a qualification, and in fact, it's a miracle that he has been able to beat an S level recently promoted, and at that moment to call another person called the Undertaker so that he can take care of it, the same bald guy. It is slowly approaching our dear Gloria and asks if she has a few last words. He is willing to listen to him because he's a good priest. No matter how much you pray, he doubts that God will have mercy on his soul. In that moment opens a kind of sarcophagus from which souls emerge, horrible, and they take glory towards who knows where. On the other hand, the Guildmaster is still stressed. And Alex is a genius, but he's not going to have nothing easy against the Master of the Sword. Marvel wonders if that's really true, because being there, a Chinese sword knows that a magician at a certain distance could easily be eliminated. That's why she thinks Alec has the advantage. And the teacher says, that's how it would be, were it not for the dungeon's core, because even though they look like normal nuclei, they are not. Each floor manager drops a core, but there is only one core of the dungeon at the end of it, and that is literally the heart of the dungeon. Emilia was promoted to S level, although solo combat. It has the strength of 4 men or more by himself. And besides being a great swordsman, he is also a magic user. And precisely the core of the dungeon. Increase your mana massively. If he's got it. Alec's going to be screwed, turning the fight around in a fair way. Incredible. Milea is putting pressure on Alecos and his 5 elements. In fact, I'll hardly ever the count in one blow, were it not for George intervened immediately. But despite having a lot of magic latent, he can only be fleeing from Milea's attacks, which come one after another after another. And who understands why this is happening? This is exactly Olivia. He knows that it's called Mana Blast. Milebule su spada, with mana to attack. Interestingly, it is his unique attack spell. It's very simple, but very powerful. He uses it precisely because it's the only what he needs. The girls try to make Olivia rest, but he says no. Now he has a plan. To the Asto at the same time, Alec tries to hold on, but it's been 5 minutes since it activated. The spell is costing him dearly. For now, all it does is to reflect Melee's blows, and still, they manage to hurt him. Definitely not help Melee become a swordsman quite fast. Anytime now, he always appears in front and does damage. Georgia tries to use the mana that he subtracts using chains to catch it, or at least annoy him, but he's a real pain. It cuts in such a simple way that it gives grief. Even so, it is very valuable time that Alec takes advantage of this to be able to counterattack. He continues with one type of magic, then with another. Combine 2, combine 3, and still not. It does nothing to Melee. It keeps calm. And although the magic that Alex throws it's huge, he finishes it returning by cutting. The two of them are making the whole place shiver constantly, at least until Grace and the others yell at Alec that it's time to stir up the monster's nest. Alex remembers the moment when he was locked in with her and that they were right in the Devaraya field. And with that, he more or less understands what he wants to do, Grace. Therefore, for the moment, he invokes He had a new sword, which seemed amused our beloved Melea. He positions himself and plans to respond with the same force, but at the moment when Huth throws his punch, Crash uses the Devour magic and Melias's spell removes. Right now, the two of them are in a ring in which they will fight with swords. Yes or yes, but it's also absurd. At the moment, he lunges to fight against Melea and is knocked down easily by the swordsman. Melea knows who were able to avoid their mana blasts and such, but it's pretty stupid to think that they were going to win in a sword duel. Now he believes it was all a waste of time, since with his spells to hum, it would have been better to have had something of opportunity, but Alex tells him not to confuse. Right there, a potion is taken and makes it clear to him that it's been a while who stopped trying to do everything alone as an adventurer, that those friends too, they're going to help him eliminate this guy. He sets off again to fight, and somehow another way begins to adapt to your fighting style, but it's exhausting, and Mel might sorely reach your left. Minutes of limit break, so it will end soon. But Alec remembers the Olivier's words. It doesn't have to try to outdo your enemy. The sword, it's part of your body, and you have to stop that. It moves with him at will. With that thought, stubbornly returns to fight and continues to receive damage after damage, but Alex's determination did not. It doesn't stop for a second. It even gets to the point where the moment when he manages to cut Melia in the face, and that's when Melia also decides to retract. Definitely Aleka, he's a first-rate magician, there's no doubt about it. But on top of that, it turns out that it is also a worthy rival with the sword, and that's it! He's having more fun than ever! He had done it, but that makes him overconfident. At that moment, he launches himself straight towards Alec, and Olivia didn't expect that. Cut it out at that moment. They stare at each other while he loses blood. Emilia tells him again that he'll never really learn. While so, Olivia asks her why the Aspahi took her in, cared for her, and then finished her off, discarding. Even when it was done, he wanted to eliminate her, not for her. That makes sense, because in the past Mel it was much stronger than it is now, when the girl could see that her sword was much sharper. She was beautiful and calm as ice. That's why he wants to know the truth, because someone like that, I would never betray someone like that. Melea breathes and tells her she's stupid. If Bleeze, he can give her lessons about to be a swordsman, but if somehow magic manages to defeat him, she's going to tell him the truth. Now, silence reigns place and only the footsteps of Olivia along with Melea. The bad thing is that Olivia is still very badly injured. With each, the blow ends up reopening his wounds, and it ends up worse. Olivia notices that her friends, Aptar, they worry and treat them reassure, like Krasia the Saint. Now she has her duty as Chinese sword, and it is to win this battle. Once again, they dance to the sound of the swords, but it's still very superior Melia. It doesn't matter how hurt you are, whether it has magic or not. That guy, it's broken. That's why Alec appears to give Olivia some support, help that he holds his sword well, and remember that you have to stand firm. He also speaks with Melea again. He says, that if he really knows the teacher can give you a message from your part, and he's doing very well, to the point where he can defeat the master of the sword. It only has 10 seconds and it's about to reach its limit, but he wants to put an end to this. Olivia joins and the two of them begin to fight against Melia, who is just counting second by second until Alex exhausts. He blocks the blows and dodges. When the time comes, Alex stays paralyzed. His sword removes his form and Melea's knees end up. Time it ended and it was quite fun, but his time had come. I was about to eliminate it, but Krakia agrees. Time's up. That moment, remove his magic devourer spell, since the plan from the beginning was simply to use it as a distraction. When she lowered her guard, Melea, she was going to enter into a fight, but only until devour magic is deactivated. In this way, the swordmaster will be defenseless for a second, and they must be very rapid. They need a magic circle in the right moment, and that's what he takes care of. Arasia, which is fed up with everyone. Swordsmen always ask for crazy things. Just at the moment when Alex was about to be eliminated, reactivates its magic. He manages to protect himself. He begins to support him and casts a spell of thunder. Melea undergoes another procedure, constant pressure, but it's not enough. That's why he's also returning to Olivia appears to bother him. By doing that, Ale managed to throw Alail hit me hard, but the guy keeps going, standing. I was about to eliminate Alec, but at that moment the arrow hits him in the chest. Melea he is shocked by this. back up, and it looks pretty bad. It's funny because all this time, Limit Break, the Devil Magia, and even Livia were just distractions. The real threat, it was always Grace. But oh well, even we'll stay here for today. Comment the word arrow to know that you made it to the end. Continuing our story, we see Kriza holding Melia down, telling him, "Don't you dare move this time. I won't miss the strike and it will definitely hit and kill you." Alec looks at her and Melia realizes then that he has lost. He brings out the magical dungeon core and decides to give it to them, saying that this is the Victor's gift. Afterward, we see Yuri talking about the Tree of Eden, stating that it is the reason the Shadow Guild is targeting her. She explains that once an adventurer collects all the magical stones, they can find the land of Eden, the rare land that grants all wishes. Here, Melia interrupts them, saying, "Your problem is that you think the dungeon core's only purpose is to enhance magical power, but the magical dungeon core has its own unique will, which is rarely heard by anyone." They all stare at him, not understanding a word he's saying. Later, we see Alex starting to wake up, telling them, "Don't let him escape. We have to settle our score with him after what he did to Olivia." He tells Melia, "If you're a real man, answer all the questions she wants to know." Melia asks them, "Do you know anything about the magical dungeon syndrome?" Kriza replies that it is a disease where people turn into monsters due to the magical power within the dungeon, and it is very difficult to recover from, though it can be somewhat contained and controlled. Melia tells them, "That is exactly what happened to me." He explains that long ago, he was part of a group of adventurers. They were teenagers with no significant combat experience, and Olivia's mother was with them in the team. After every battle, Olivia's mother would always talk to Melia, asking, "What do you think of my power?" It was clear she loved fighting. He says that despite how similar they were, she contracted the dungeon syndrome and turned into a monster. Her final wish was for him to finish her off before anyone saw her like that. Melia fulfilled her wish and killed her. Afterward, Melia decided to leave the group to search for Olivia and raise her, teaching her how to fight so she could become a strong warrior like her mother. He was surprised to find that Olivia possessed the same fighting talent as her mother. Melia says that when Olivia was young, she had the same energy, vitality, and madness as her mother, which made him happy while training her. Olivia used to ask him, "Why don't you cut your hair? It might hinder you during combat." Melia would reply, "I don't want to forget my past memories. That's why I never cut it." Melia confesses that every moment he looked at Olivia, he felt guilt and was deeply saddened because he was the reason her mother was killed. Olivia's mother would haunt his thoughts, asking him, "How can you treat the girl with such kindness after you killed her mother?" He began to doubt if it truly was her mother's will to die, wondering what would her daughter's reaction be if she saw her mother in that terrifying monster form. Olivia hears all of this and is left in a state of shock. Melia continues, saying that after he heard about the land of Eden that grants wishes, he decided to search for the magical dungeon stones to change his painful past. Alec asks him, "Was your wish to bring Olivia's mother back to life?" But Melia doesn't answer Alec. Instead, he speaks to Olivia, saying, "Go ahead. The opportunity is right in front of you now to take revenge on the one who killed your mother." He starts shouting at her, "I don't want you to hesitate in killing me. I want to restore your confidence." Then, the adventurer Lorge arrives with Marble. Marble immediately runs to Olivia, hugging her and saying she's happy she is safe. Olivia reassures her that she is fine. She then looks at Melia and says, "I have no intention of torturing you, but I have decided to take you out of the dungeon to be judged in front of everyone." Melia tells her, "You will regret this decision, because the memories of the past will haunt you for the rest of your life." She replies that she knows how to live with any ordeal she passes through, and with her friends by her side, she will recover from anything. Melia remembers when he was with Olivia as a child, trying to convince her that loneliness is the most important thing in the world, saying that being alone makes you stronger than anyone else. But in the end, he feels his teachings were useless, saying, "It's clear that with your friends by your side, you have become much stronger." Then, the guildmaster, Weisel, arrives with the Undertaker, who is carrying the coffin. He says, "Stop the drama and the stories. I'm tired of all the tales you're telling." Melia says, "I thought you left the guild and became an old man who doesn't fight anymore." Weisel replies, "They refused my resignation because someone like you collaborated with the Shadow Guild against us, and that's the only reason I was motivated to return." He tells him, "If you want to destroy yourself, do it away from Olivia and leave her alone." Pizel calls on the Undertaker to do his job. The Undertaker opens the coffin and recites an incantation. Strange spirits emerge, bind Melia, and pull him into the box. Honest asks Alec, "Do you know Melia, the master of the sword?" Alec says this is the first time I've seen him, but it seems he knows a lot of information about my mother. After that, the guildmaster decides to leave the dungeon because he has a lot of work to do. Olivia collapses on the ground from exhaustion and her severe injuries. Marble thinks Olivia has died and runs to Kriza, pleading, "Please use your healing magic and treat her quickly." Alec also feels exhausted and falls to the ground. Kriza begins healing Olivia, but Olivia notices that Kriza is doing it reluctantly and is very annoyed. Kriza tells her, "You're right, because I've exhausted my magical energy on you due to the sheer number of injuries you have." She tells her she is reckless in combat and almost died 3 times today. Olivia agrees and apologizes, saying, "I was fighting recklessly and with my full power because I was sure that if anything happened to me, you would use your magic to heal me." Kriza grabs her by the neck and says, "This is the first time I realized you are a totally manipulative girl." Later, Olivia apologizes to Lausch, saying, "I'm sorry for putting our team in danger." He tells her, "On the contrary, we should cooperate. When I saw you last time, upset and full of rage, I felt bad for you and didn't want to pressure you, so I let you go alone." He adds, "I'm glad Alec was with you during the battle to protect you," and shakes Alec's hand to thank him. Alex shakes back, saying, "As adventurers, we should help one another." They all celebrate completing the dungeon mission successfully. Kriza holds the dungeon stone and wonders, who deserves this magical stone? How will we divide it among us? Yuri says that the one who should take the stone is Lorge. Honest gets annoyed, asking, "What has he done since we arrived?" Yuri explains that Lorge and his team have been in the dungeon for a long time, clearing out the monsters. Lorge goes to take the stone, but shows his noble character, saying, "Since you are the ones who defeated the Swordmaster Milia, this stone belongs to you. This stone will help you increase your strength." He gives the stone back to Yuri. As soon as Yuri touches the stone, it begins to glow and she falls to the ground unconscious. In her dream, Yuri sees the Tree of Eden. The tree asks her, "What is your wish? Will you enter the land of Eden and eat from the golden fruit?" It tells her, "I want you to collect all the magical stones and come back to me with the heroes to fulfill all your wishes." Yuri wakes up and notices Alec sleeping in the bed next to her. She goes to check on him, saying he must be tired from using such great magical power against Milia. She tries to get closer, but Honest is standing nearby, watching everything. He tells her that Alec is tired and cannot move, telling her to leave him alone. Alec actually wakes up to the sound of Yuri's shouting. Kriza asks her, "Did the magical stone make you lose consciousness?" Yuri says she doesn't know and wants to see the stone again. Kriza gives it to her to check, but this time the stone doesn't glow and Yuri doesn't hear or see anything like before. Alec tells Yuri that Milia was right. The Shadow Guild will keep looking for these stones and will keep looking for her. Yuri says, "I also want to collect all the magical stones." She notes that the Shadow Guild knows things about her that she doesn't even know about herself, and she can't remain silent while they hunt her. Honest says, "That's our leader, Yuri, the one who never gives up. We are with you to find the Shadow Guild and give them a proper lesson." Suddenly, Alec interrupts them with bad news. "I can't use magic anymore." Even Olivia is shocked. Alec explains, "Using my maximum magical power in the fight against Milia was the most reckless thing I've ever done. It depleted a huge amount of magical energy from my body." He asks Olivia to train him in swordsmanship. Yuri suggests the issue might be temporary. Olivia tells him, "Why don't you go train with Honest?" But Alex says, "I want to face different opponents to gain new experiences." She asks, "It seems you want to take revenge on the Shadow Guild." He replies that since the Shadow Guild is targeting Yuri and the stones, they could face them at any time, and he wants to be ready. Olivia mentions that while she was pursuing Milia, she heard some information about the Shadow Guild, specifically a person named Yorha Eisnetz. This person seems heavily involved in the plot to kidnap Yuri. She tells Yuri, "If you want a trail to follow, look for this person." Alec reassures her, "Don't be afraid, I am with you and will help you. You will never be in danger as long as I am here." Later, Alec returns to the guild and learns about a martial arts competition. He decides to participate to improve his combat skills. On their way, a guild staff member tells him that the prize for this year's tournament is a dungeon stone. Alec becomes very excited, wondering what awaits him there. When they arrive at the new city, Alec gathers with his friends and they motivate each other, vowing to win the competition to prove to the world that they are the strongest team of adventurers and mages. And with that, the first season of the Story of the Kingdom's Mage, Alec concludes.